is huge news as well. There is a new poll in reference to the Democratic primary, and I think you really need to sit down and take a look at this. Brace yourself. Right now, this is a poll from Rasmussen. If the candidates for the 2024 Democratic presidential nomination were Joe Biden, RFK Jr., and Marianne Williamson, which candidate would you vote for? Everybody hold on to your seats for this one. 36% said Joe Biden. 35% said RFK Jr. 6% Marianne Williamson, 11% some other candidate, 12% not sure. Even the some other candidate isn't higher than RFK Jr.'s percentage here. 35%. This is huge. And if you want to adjust for a margin of error, you could kind of almost say that him and Joe Biden, this technically would be considered a tie. But the Democratic Party doesn't want you to have any debates. I told you, if you keep watching this, RFK Jr. is going to continue to climb in the polls. And then it's going to become very more difficult, I think, for people to make excuses for the Democratic Party choosing not to have primary debates. How can you dispute this? How can you, support them not having debates when you look at these polls? How? There's no way. No way. And on top of that, there was a focus group in Georgia. And it sounds like to me, they really want primary debates. Now, why is that important? Because you have to remember Joe Biden was able to turn Georgia blue. Doesn't mean it's going to stay that way. Georgia can easily return back to the red state. So I think everybody needs to hear this. Shout out to Case Study QB. Thank you so much for this clip. Hold on to your seats, buddies.
Georgia swing state voters say they want to see President Biden in a debate, but not with Donald Trump, but with Robert F. Kennedy Jr.? What's that about?
It's probably not a headline that Biden or his folks want to see or maybe even care about too much. But the most fascinating thing about these focus groups is that it always shows us exactly how these crucial voters who actually decide elections feel. Not only do they not want to see Trump nor Biden running for office, they said they'd like to see Biden face more Democratic challengers, and they think he should debate RFK Jr. or any other prominent Democrat who might jump in the race to challenge him. And
did you hear that? So voters in Georgia, they want to see primary debates with Joe Biden, and they actually want to encourage more people to run against him. This is what the people actually want. So the Democratic Party, the DMC, right now, they're going against what the people want and what they want to see. But when you actually go out and you talk to the people, you find out what the people actually want, not what the party wants. And this could be a very revealing moment, because if they continue with this and those debates don't happen, I don't know, voters in Georgia can easily change their mind, decide not to support him again. What other reason would they give? You don't want to have debates. This man is polling with you neck and neck now, and you still don't want him to debate. What are they trying to hide? What is it that they don't want you to see about Joe Biden? I think they're trying to keep him in the dark as much as possible. I think they are trying to prevent Joe Biden from having more appearances if he doesn't need to, because they know that he is declining mentally. Let's go on.
That's because, frankly, they say they want whoever represents them to be able to prove their mental acuity, their fitness for office. Some folks said that they want someone who doesn't need to use flashcards or notes or a teleprompter to be able to talk to them and debate someone on a debate stage. Others said, well, if they're both running to represent the same party, then I would be interested to see where there are policy similarities, where there are policy differences. But the big thing is that Biden's age has become a real problem with these more independent-minded voters voters who once supported Trump in 2016, then went Biden in 2020.
It's not just the independent-minded voters. And they keep saying age because they're trying not to paint this picture of Joe Biden experiencing cognitive decline. That's why they're saying age. It's not about his age. It's about his mental ability right now. And if he is experiencing cognitive decline, which it appears that is the case, it's not just independent voters that can see that. Everybody can see it every time he speaks. So listen to the way that they frame things. I think that's important, you guys. They're trying to make it seem like, well, yeah, the independent voters, it's not just the independent voters that are noticing that Joe Biden is having some difficulty. But they don't want to tell you that Democrats are noticing this too.
And are now looking more to the person than the party. That helps Biden because, yes, while his age might be an issue, these folks detest Trump and they call his character disgusting. They were very unhappy with the verdict from the E. Jean Carroll case, unhappy because of what it says that he has done. And so there's no real scenario in which they say they'll take Donald Trump back. But if they're given an alternative, viable third-party option, all of the folks in this focus group said that they would pick that person over Biden or Trump.
Yeah.
Did everybody just hear that piece for the people who tell me, no, don't run independent, don't run third party. It's a waste of time. Listen to what she just said here.
Fact, but if they're given an alternative, viable third-party option, all of the folks in this focus group said that they would pick that person over Biden or Trump.
Yeah.
That piece right there is important. This is, once again, we have two people Americans, for the most part, don't want. Yes, of course, Trump has his base. He's still going to have that base. But when it comes down between the two, how many people want either one? So here we go again. Now, there's more from this focus group. Again, shout out to Case Study QB for this. Do you think that the 19% comes from people who would prefer Bernie Sanders to be the nominee, unlike the last time around? So this is important. Let me go ahead to this one. I hope this is the right. Yeah.
Demanding a Democratic debate. A new focus group revealing some swing voters in Georgia when President Biden go toe-to-toe with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Shannon Bream, host of Fox News Sunday. How you doing, Shannon? Good morning to you on a Friday morning, as you would say. Friday, here we go. Now,
I would.
What's the chance that these two men are on a debate stage together?
I don't think it's very strong, but it is interesting because there are calls across the board coming for some kind of conversation about this. I mean, Axios talked to a group of Georgia swing voters about what they wanted to see and, you know, whether they would vote Democrat, where they would go. And they really want to see some kind of debate. One of the folks that they talked to in this focus group said, I want to know that whoever's going to be my president will be able to come up with coherent thoughts, no flashcards, no help. I want to see them debate. And so I want to see it happen on the primary stage. RFK Jr.'s name keeps coming up. Our polling just a couple of weeks ago showed that 19% of Democratic primary voters said that they would pick him over President Biden. So
that's a different poll. That's the Fox News poll.
There's a hunger and a thirst there for this.
Shannon,
but I can't imagine the DNC allowing that.
Do you think that 19% comes from people who would have preferred Bernie Sanders to be their nominee the last time around?
Yeah, it's possible. And whether they actually, when it comes down to it, if we have a rematch of 2020, do they stay home or do they say, no, I'm going to go out and pick President Biden over President Trump? It's a good question. I don't know. But the fact that he showed up so strong, I think gave the White House a little bit of pause.
Guys, I don't know what to tell you other than the fact that, again, people want a debate. Even for me, like I told you, I don't support this strategy of people running through the Democratic Party as progressives, the whole Bernie Sanders thing. I don't support that strategy anymore because, as I just told you with the discussion with Norm tonight, it's already fixed. It's already fixed. Okay. The DNC, corrupt, corporate. That being said, that doesn't mean they shouldn't be able to debate. And I support them having the opportunity to debate. I think that should happen. I think that Joe Biden should be challenged on a debate stage. And I think that if you have people running against him, those people should be able to debate him. I can't even believe this is even a question. Can't even believe it. That's actual democracy for the people like Rokana, who's like, we got to protect our democracy. That's democracy. Now, here's the question. I want to talk about who could host these debates, because we keep talking about whether or not the DNC will go back on their word and allow it to happen. I say, why even wait for all that? Why even wait for all that? Why can't someone who is large enough that everybody knows host these debates? And I think there's someone that can do that. Here's that person. Listen to this.
Charlemagne Tha God is fed up with the DNC for not scheduling any primary debates this election cycle. Watch.
It's whack that the DNC won't let nobody they won't do no primaries next year, man. Do a primary debate. Put Joe Biden up on that stage with Bobby Kennedy, who's challenging him, and Marianne Williamson, and whoever steps up to the plate, and let's have a discussion, yo.
Fox.
Charlemagne Tha God should host the debates. You guys asked me and Kim, and I deferred to Kim. I deferred to Kim. And Kim said what? She told you it should be on a larger platform, even larger than hers. And she has a large platform. She's like, maybe it should happen on Twitter or something like that. Charlemagne Tha God would actually be the right person to do this. He is a host. He has a radio show. Most people know who he is. He gets a lot of views. He's a popular person, and he's independent. So people can't say, oh, he's being partisan and he's, da-da-da. Like, he's independent. He should host it. Tell him I said so. I remember, like, back in the day, some of you guys may not remember this, but when I was in undergrad at the University of South Carolina, Charlemagne Tha God used to do the radio in Columbia, South Carolina. A lot of people don't remember this. I remember he was local. He lived next door to my best friend. This is back in the day. But he used to have a radio show in Columbia, South Carolina. And I remember when he announced that he was moving up to New York to work on the Wendy Williams show. See, I remember all this stuff. He didn't just get there like that. He started from the bottom and worked his way up. But he should do it. He should be the one to host the debates. We'll go on a little bit more here.
News contributor Joe Concha joins us now. Good morning, Joe. I got to put this in context for anyone who may not remember who Charlemagne is. So this is when he spoke to then candidate Biden back in 2020. Listen.
More questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
It don't have nothing to do with Trump. It has to do with the fact I want something for my community. I would love to see.
Take a look at my record, man.
So now that we know the relevance of Charlemagne and why this is so relevant right now, do you think the more pressure that people put on the DNC to have these debates, that they might actually do it?
I would hope so. The problem is it's only Charlemagne, who I worked with actually over at WOR in New York a couple of years ago, and he's an authentic guy. I talked to him several times. You listen to his radio show. I like the fact he doesn't hold back, doesn't care about what party you belong to. But the Democratic National Committee, this is all an effort to ensure the Biden basement strategy is deployed to its full effect once again during the primary process and beyond. And look, you just showed the polls. Joe Biden is at his lowest level in polling history for a president at this time in their presidency. The president was asked just yesterday, as you just played, what was the last country you were at? And I get if you haven't traveled in a while, but he was just there last week. We're talking about Ireland, and he couldn't remember. And that's why he's being kept off this debate stage. He can't answer basic questions. And the same goes for Donald Trump, by the way, too, who says he's not going to debate as well during the primary season. No, this isn't a coronation. You have to defend your policies, your ideas. I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican. You cannot have this process without debating your opponents. Both the RNC and the DNC should stand up and say, we're going to hold these debates for all candidates, and you all must show up. But I have a feeling that's not going to happen because we're in a coronation process, not an electoral process, it appears at this point, guys.
He hit the nail on the head. No, we're not in an electoral process, and we don't have a true democracy. And that's why something like this can happen. And most people won't even say anything. That's a big part of the problem. Just keeping it real. But again, you guys can pass it on. I think Charlemagne should host the debates. He has that large platform that Kim was talking about. He has it. What multi-mind? Sabrina, you want to interview Orange Man, Biden as well? No. I don't think this would be a good place for them to come to. Could you imagine? Oh, man. First question I could ask someone like Joe Biden, and that would be the end of the interview. They'll be like, his campaign, his team would say, all right, we're going to go ahead and cut this one short. No, I don't think so. Banhammer said Russell Brand should host it. He doesn't throw softballs. Him too. Maybe they could do it together. Maybe it could be Russell Brand and Charlemagne. But I agree that I think it needs to be somewhere else other than YouTube, because not everybody tunes into the political YouTube, and Twitter has even more followers. So Heartless Media. Oh, Kit, I'm coming. I'm over time. Charlemagne, Joe Rogan, Jimmy Dore, and Russell Brand. That would be crazy, right? I don't know if Jimmy would do it though, because I think Jimmy's like tired of the whole electoral process. I'm not sure if he would do it, but that would be lit. And that would get a lot of viewers and people would tune in. But I really do think, you guys, that they're trying to prevent Joe Biden from talking as much as possible because they don't want people to see that he's in decline. I think that's partly what this is about. There is still a chance a corporate Democrat may come forward. I would not be surprised if someone like Joe Manchin decides to run. He's been hinting at that before. I think it's laughable, though, but you never know. You never know.